Welcome to Telecuenta News English. This is Peg with Accent, Flavors, and Integration. And today we are very grateful because we have the Consul of Mexico of Kansas City with us, the Consul Soleil Padilla Mayer, who we appreciate, and the Consul Aiko Paredes with us. What we want to have this conversation because we know that a lot of people doesn't know the Consul have support to the Mexicans in United States, depending on the area. The Consul of Mexico serves to Kansas and Missouri, and they even have plans of emergency, have plans when the situations maybe don't go how the community will like. So with that, I want to say thank you for being here, and I wanted you to explain to us about all the tools that you have right now for support the Mexican community in Kansas and Missouri.
Thank you so much, Majo. It is always a pleasure to be here with you and to address your auditorium. Thank you for having us. In order to explain these things that we do that sometimes it's so hard to understand, what exactly does a consulate do? We sometimes think it's counselor because the word it's similar, but the consulate, it's the representation of a different government in another country. And what we do is to grant our Mexican community with their rights, like to observe and protect the rights. So basically we do two kinds of protection. The preventive protection, in which we tell people the do's and don'ts of a place. So if they know the laws, they follow the law and they don't break the law and they don't get into trouble. And in case they get into trouble, here we are in order to help them navigate their entire process. That is called the consular protection. So we have preventive protection and then the consular protection. And in the consular protection, every citizen has the right to notify its consulate in case they are detained or under certain circumstances where they require our assistance. So when we get that call, what we do specifically nowadays with all these detainees, we go to the detention centers and then we have a consular interview. And in order for that consular interview to be explained, I would like Consul Aiko Peredo, who heads the Department for Protection at the Consulate of Mexico, to explain what we do when we arrive to a detention center and what is the purpose of that interview, if I may pass the word to her.
Absolutely. Hi, thank you. Thank you for the invitation and for being here. Basically, what we do when we start the interviews in the any detention center, we start with having like the first information of the person who's in detention. We got the basic information, name, last name, and how the detention has been made, and if they have any kind of problem during or the detention or when they arrive at the detention center, we interview them and we have all the information in our system. So if we identify any kind of trouble during the detention or if they have any medical issue, we address the situation with the authorities so they can provide with the medication or have like the information right there when we conduct the interviews. And when we receive this information that it's like on a weekly basis, we receive the list of the people that is being held by immigration, and we know in which detention center they are held. So we conduct the interviews by detention center and we start to proceed with the consular interview. And if any family member ask us for any information of them unless we have like the authorization for that specific person to provide information. We're going to be able to share any kind of information that we obtain during the interview or with the authorities.
And remember, we always do it in English and Spanish. So sometimes I bring the stuff that we did already in Spanish to our conversation in English. But you was said in the in Spanish interview that you check the avenues that this person have inside the prisons. If they have options, you also have options for them. Could you explain more about that part?
Yes, when we start the interview, we saw the problem that the person might have. So if we saw, like for example, if a person who has been here before and maybe had a previous deportation or a voluntary departure before, we explain how the process will be for them, and also we explain the process for people who has been detained for the first time or people who has never had any problem here in the US and they maybe are here for 20 years or something, and we can help them to get like um information with a lawyer so they can have like legal advice to obtain any kind of resource to be here legally in the US. If the lawyer says that there is no way that they can help that person to stay here in the US, I mean, we are not able to provide any more information, but instead we provide them with the information for the program that we have in Mexico in order to start the process of deportation.
And I will go with the consul. So, like, what is this program? Because sometimes one of the fear is what I will do in the other place. What I will do is I am be deported. So, what will be the process? And we can answer for every country. We are talking with the Mexican consul. So, I want to be clear. This is for the Mexicans that live in the United States. So, what is the support the Mexican government is give to that people that unfortunately they are unable to have any path for staying in United States if they are being detained?
So, as you said, Majo, what we are trying to do is to give them options. So, in case of a detainee, if they have the option to stay and they want to pursue that option, and there's a legal firm that will represent them, of course, that would be their option, right? But unfortunately, there are not many lawyers or experts in migration that can represent everybody. And some cases are not going to be one. That's also, true. We have to accept that there are some cases that the final result will be send them back to their country. In case that happens to the Mexican community, the government of Mexico, through the President Sheinbaum, they established a program that it's called Mexico Embraces You, Mexico Te Abraza, which is a program that will allow you to start all over again in our country. So we give them their identity paperwork once they arrive. We give them cash money to start, like for their most important needs. We give them like bed and breakfast in the places that are throughout the borderline so that they can rest there and they can, prepare their trip to their place of origin, because they might be left in the border close to, the borderline with the US, but they might have family in Chiapas, which is far away. So we also help them to transfer from the place of where they were left to the place of origin. We help them to get jobs in Mexico, in their state. So it is an entire program that allows the Mexicans that are coming back to restart their lives there. I know maybe this is not their option, their first option, but it is an option. And that's what we're trying to convey to them, that it's not the end of the road, that they might feel despair, or they might feel sad, or they might feel anxious and think that it's over. But there can be new ways of starting, with your life in a different country. So that's what we try to do, to convey to them them with all the options that they have, and then they make their decisions in case that they can go one way or another.
And I don't want to stop this. We have few minutes. Time go fast here when we are doing this. Talk to about the importance of this person or the people that is in the detention centers be able to communicate with you and also be able to authorize that you can talk to with your family members, because that is a big piece of the pictures. Family members outside could be very worried, and we see the worry, and even about the conditions inside of the prison, something that you guys can verify in the interviews that if something is not working. So the importance of that, could you explain more? Let's put a case. I live in Mexico. I hear that my family got detained, and I call on the consul of Mexico in the area, and I say, I could you help me? I find my person, and what happened if you
Okay,
don't have the authorization?
so let me say two things. First of all, you have human rights that cannot be taken away from you. And even if you don't have the proper documents to work in this country or to live in this country, you still have human rights that have to be respected, okay? And you have the right for your privacy as well. So even if you have a family member that is super worried about you and that needs desperately to know information about you, you are the owner of your case, and you have you can decide if you want to share your information or not. So sometimes people do not know, and you were saying in the interview in Spanish that it's like a very discreet job what Aiko and the rest of the staff do, because they don't, like mention or have the spotlight about the people that we interview, because we cannot do that. We protect their privacy, and they have the right to say, I want you to share my information, or I don't want you to share anything. So when Aiko gets a phone call from La Señora Lupita asking for her son and wanting to learn how he is in prison, if he's getting food, if he wants to go back, what he's going to do with his case, if that son at prison doesn't want us to tell her anything, we will not. Sometimes we just say, your mom is very worried. Can we say that you are okay? And if he says yes, we do that. If he says no, we don't
So
say anything. So I'm sorry about all those families that want to learn more about their friends, family members, but we need to have that authorization. Okay. So Aiko, you want to add more to what I said?
Yes, and sometimes we only have one person at the Mexican consulate to be the point of contact, because if we sometimes receive so many calls from family members for the same people, so we only receive or we only follow up with the person who the person authorized. So if that person authorized only the mother or maybe the spouse, we are going to only be able to provide information for the spouse, even though the mother is a mother. So if we have the authorization for a specific person, we are going to provide them with the information. And if we do not have any approval to share information about the case or the situation, we are not going to be able to provide with any besides the person reach out to us to have that information.
And I don't want to finish even if because I want to have the number. What number they need to use in case of somebody is detained, in case of somebody want to know more prevention. What will be the right contact in the way that people can have the right information. Again, we understand that this is a legal, human, and moral issue, but legal prevent over all. And I want to repeat this many times. Legal prevent over all. So we need to know that. What is the number, Ike?
Yes, the number from the Mexican Consulate who oversees the state of Kansas and Missouri is 816-768-1262.
Well, I want to say thank you to the Consul Soleil, and I want to say thank you to Aiko, and also say goodbye to Soleil because he went to take new position, new responsibilities for the Mexican government, and she will be always welcome in Kansas and Missouri. So we want to say on her Thank you for the years. Thinking 4 or 5 years that you
Four.
4 years was with us in this area. Be the hands of the Mexican community with us. Always, I say, the consul of all, because many times the Mexican consul came to be the consul of all nationalities here.
Well, the information that we provide is for everyone that wants it. So it is in Spanish and it's available for everybody that speaks Spanish and wants to have it. So there is no Mexican or other nationalities there, just for resources. But I want to thank you for all the work that you do, for helping our community being informed, and for giving us this space in order to participate with them and learn a little bit more of this hard and difficult situation we're living in.
Well, we appreciate your time. Aiko, thank you for being with us,
Thank
Consul.
you so much. Thank you for
This segment is presented by Kansas City Football Club, the High Law Firm, the bilingual lawyers in Missouri, U.S. Bank, La Mesa Mexican Restaurant.
Shelter Insurance, this is Charles.
Afternoon, Charles.
Joshua?
Does shelter insurance cover shiny red cars?
Yeah.
What about purple vans?
Also, yes.
Monster trucks?
You know we offer car insurance, son. What's going on?
From shiny red cars to purple minivans, we're your shield, we're your shelter.
See Shelter Agent Matt Cathy in St. Joseph today for a free insurance review.